Welcome back to FreightWaves Now on this Tuesday morning. I'm here with our senior retail analyst, Andrew Cox, talking all about what's going on in the point of sale world this week. Andrew, welcome to FreightWaves Now this morning. How was your 4th of July weekend?
It was awesome. I went to New York. I have to say, for anybody that was wondering, New York is most definitely back. It was slammed. The city was popping. Everybody was having a great time. Yeah, it was an awesome time. But my flights just kept getting delayed, so I got in very late last night. And then even when we got there, this is kind of analogous to what I'm about to tell you about warehouse demand. We got there. There was a gate for us. We were awaiting berth, but we needed a crew. We didn't have enough. They didn't have enough crew to get us in there, so we waited on the tarmac for an hour while the crew from 3 gates over made it in. Okay, this is similar to what is going on in warehouse demand, right? Vacancy rates are at 40-year lows. They're about 4.5% according to the CBRE. When consumers need it most and when retailers need it most, there's just no warehouse space available because these things take time to build, because they have labor shortages, we have concrete shortages, we have metal shortages, all the same things that are affecting manufacturing and the warehouses within, what's going in the walls of the warehouses. The same things are happening when we need to build more of them. So we are seeing we're seeing leases signed in disparate places all over the place. Of course, Savannah is one of the biggest ones as the East Coast ports have become more popular. People have looked to Savannah, but Columbus, Ohio has been another one. I think warehouse demand is up 60% over last year right now, and that is because everything's within a one day drive there, so it's very centrally located. But you're also seeing them in really highly densely populated areas like Brooklyn and Queens. You're seeing very expensive spaces being made up, all because the last mile is so important. So warehouse being spaced everywhere.
So we've talked a lot to Eric Kulish, our air cargo editor, about what's going on in Columbus and some of those smaller airports with warehousing. Do you think that these shippers and these carriers shifting their, freight to moving to these smaller airport hubs is kind of contributing to that rise in demand in smaller places that wouldn't typically see that warehouse demand?
It certainly could be. I would say a lot of it is, you look at the way that Amazon has set up their air network. They've set it up there in the Kentucky market, North Kentucky, low Cincinnati. And that's certainly contributing to it. I would say a lot more of it is just way that people are building out same day or next day delivery, 2-day delivery markets, and you need these hubs in areas that are close to many population centers. So the Northeast makes a lot of sense, but the Northeast is also really expensive. The labor market and the warehousing market is super expensive there. But if you get to just Columbus and you get one more further day drive, you can still make that next day delivery if you're in Columbus. So that's why you're seeing areas in Columbus and areas in West Virginia and Virginia that are becoming very popular to service both the Northeast and the Midwest.
Let's talk about what you're seeing so far from these summer retail trends. You know, we just hit this halfway point of our summer. You guys talked a little bit about a great quarter, guys, last week about what your expectations are coming through the second half of 2021. What do you think we're going in the next quarter as far as retail trends go?
I think you're going to keep seeing people spending a lot on clothes. I think apparel is still in super demand. Like, we're in this just kind of the super cycle for apparel after a year where we've just bought nothing but sweatpants pretty much. Because the truth is that the economy is opening up, but we still have a lot of people that have not gone back to work yet, or we have the big back to school season where kids are going to be wanting clothes. So I think that we're going to see a lot more demand for apparel. Yet we're still seeing really high demand for home improvement, for online electronics, all of the same things that people kept buying throughout the pandemic. I think that just shows the strength of the American consumer right now. I think, we're coming down off of those 40-50% 2-year comps. We're now running up about 15-20% on a 2-year comp. Still very good. And even though for freight markets on the other side of things, there's enough. Inventories are low enough right now that it doesn't really matter what consumer demand is going to be. If it stays relatively strong through the end of the year, inventories are going to need to be replenished anyway. So the freight demand will be there. Consumer demand, I do believe that apparel is going to be really strong, but services is going to be the second half of the year. If you were to see New York, you were to see every restaurant. I couldn't get a reservation anywhere. It is packed. I mean, people are looking to go out. They're looking to do all the things that COVID took from us, really, over the past year.
Speaking of COVID, we're still seeing impacts of that Delta variant spreading across Southeast Asia, which is ground zero for a lot of these apparel things that you're talking about. Tell me a little bit about what's going on with limitations going on in Southeast Asia from getting that apparel over here.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because this is a really big point here, is that apparel inventories are a little bit higher than the rest of the retail world because nobody bought anything last year. But they still need to be building stuff, and Bangladesh is a major manufacturer of garments. They produce I think 10 to 12% of all the garments in the U.S., and they're having the worst COVID outbreak that they've had. They're I guess, third wave it would be. They are going into very widespread lockdown. There's a chance that factories won't be able to be open. And again, these clothes that are being made right now, these are the holiday clothes. These are the stuff we're going to have towards the end of the year or the early next year. So I'm actually going to have Rick Helfenbein, who was the former president and CEO of the American Apparel and Footwear Association. He's going to be on Great Quarter Guys this afternoon. He's going to really detail the severity of the problem in Bangladesh and what American apparel retailers can do to, mitigate it, try to go around it. It's not going to be an easy situation by any means. I know that he is quite bearish on the situation, so everybody tune in at 3 o'clock today to hear him about that.
It's super interesting. I know I've talked a lot with you about my side hustle working at Lululemon is kind of in that retail analyst space. And we also, we've seen a lot of delays on the stuff that we're getting. And we're getting in apparel that should have been part of the spring collection that's just now barely coming in, and it's the middle of summer. And it's still, we've gotten a lot of, clarity from our upper management saying like, yeah, this is happening. We're seeing the delays in both the manufacturing and at the ports as well. Talk to me a little bit about what's coming on Great Quarter Guys other than Rick, and then point of sale tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, Lululemon is not the only one seeing that. And it's crazy, it's because you see Nike, Under Armour, Lululemon, all of the biggest and best brands, they're all dealing with this too.
And it's all a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, Nike had a great quarter. They just posted earnings the week before last, but they talked about how they had a great quarter in Q4, but they had so much inventory that was not here for Q3 that they ended up selling in Q4 that helped their Q4, but really hurt their Q3.
Right.
I mean, there's shoes that I want that were supposed to come out before Easter, and they were calling them Easter shoes, and now they're calling them candy shoes. Yeah, or whatever else. They're just making up new names because everything is so delayed. So the delays are going to keep coming. Just the port congestion is not going anywhere. Yantian is finally up and running at full capacity right now, but we've got months of backlog at the factories, on the factory floor, at the warehouses, everywhere else. So it's going to take much time to work through that.
Awesome, Andrew. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Go catch Great Quarter Guys this afternoon at 3 o'clock. You've got point of sale coming out tomorrow.